today. So before we start, let's not get too into it. Let's not talk too much. So before we start, let me just introduce our flow. So this is how our presentation will just go. We just hang out a bit, spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes talking about stuff. Because let's be as interactive so that you guys can also give me content to see. Yeah. And then I'll probably introduce. I was supposed to introduce myself and Sarita at this point. And then we'll talk about all of this, all around the money, things you should do, what the right I use with money, just, all of that. So I'll speak a lot from my experience and, what I've read, because I write a financial blog for Northern Berger. It's a finance group. I mean, we do everything finance, infrastructure banking, microfinance banking, loans, investments. So I'm pretty much bombarded with financial content and research every day. So I also be drawing from that. And and feel free to interrupt me at any time because I think I have this thing in my head. So interrupt me, I'll always be able to pick up since I have the slide at least. If there's anything you don't agree with, you can write it down and ask, why it's that said. And, if we get down to it during our question and answer session, and it's not, we can always learn something. So I think that does it for introductions and how it will go. So as for the question, I want to ask everyone, let me just hear from all of us. It will be, first tell me how you are, and then tell me one satisfying thing you've done with money this year. Like, um, I will break the ice and go first. So I think the most satisfying thing I've done with money this year was to get myself finally got myself a work table. I always work at the office and then they just announced that, oh, we can do hybrid now. And I was like, I need to get a table. And in 2 days, someone was selling their table and I just went and I just got it. And every time I look at that table, I touch that table, I just feel really good because I'm like, yeah, money well spent. So yeah, that's mine. So what was yours? I would like to hear from you guys.
Does anybody want to go next? Or should I go next?
Yeah, you can. Save me.
Okay, I'll follow your cue about the table. I think a satisfying thing I bought the work chair because my back has been killing me. But not very recently, but I bought a chair that is more comfortable and more, yeah, the word is comfortable and more healthy actually. And yeah, I don't regret spending that amount of money, which I usually wouldn't on a normal day. So yeah, it's satisfying for me. Um, I'll just use the list here. Hi Chibuzo, do you want to go next?
Well, no, not really. I'm cool. Just listening. I'll contribute when the time is right.
Hi
Hello,
Temitoya,
everyone.
hi.
Hello, are
Comfort?
you hearing me?
Yes, can hear
Yes.
you.
Yeah, this is Comfort.
Okay, go on,
Okay, I
please.
want to go next. I think June or July, I had to get a new phone because my previous phone was full. Although we just clocked a year, and you know, I don't know how to say it, but I was supposed to use the phone for long, but I started having memory issues and the rest of it. The memory was getting full fast, and my work was hanging. I couldn't do stuff. Sometimes they will send me file at the office. I will not be able to download it. So I had to just close my eyes and use a huge sum of money to go and get a phone with a bigger memory space. And yeah, sometimes I see that when I bought it, I actually was like, wow, if somebody told me I'll use this kind of money to go and get a phone, use this amount of money, sorry, to buy a phone, I'll be like, no, 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 it's not me. But yeah, and I'm enjoying it actually.
That's amazing. For
Thank you.
sharing
I'm
the
done.
thank you for sharing comfort.
Yeah.
Okay,
Anybody
I
wants to
think
go
I
next? Go on. Mm, nobody's unmuting. Okay. Shammah, just
I mean, for me, it has to be a monitor, right? It sort of helps work a bit easier and all. But then, most recently, I think I've been playing more video games on the monitor with the monitor than working with the monitor. But yeah,
it's just satisfying. That's all that matters.
Wow. I also want to get a monitor too. That's a good one. Thank you very much for sharing, Alaji. Okay. Does anyone want to go again? I think I still have some time on the clock.
I think I can go. Um, Maybe for me, it will be mindset thing. More about living with a mindset of abundance, even when I don't have, and that of course translates to insisting on my rates, even when people are trying to push me to a corner to say, "Oh, can you negotiate? Can you do it lesser? Can you?" Mm-mm. Yeah, so that's it for me.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Emitayo. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope I can negotiate my rates and not cut like small in the future. I do that a lot. Okay then. Yeah. So anyone else? Okay, I think I still have a minute left. So okay, I think I can barrel on. Thank you so much, guys, for sharing. At least you guys are really well. Not to judge, but these shows are really good. Though. I've added like two things to my list now. New monitor, charge more. Okay, thank you very much, guys. So let's barrel on. Okay, so yeah, these are your hosts. I think I've introduced us already, so I can skip over this. So I will just go right into it. What is money? Yes. But maybe. Okay, so we're all writers, yeah, and I'm sure we have a lot of information about this. So, um, if there's anything I say, you're not familiar with, don't forget to call me back, and I can explain. Although I doubt there'll be any of that, because I'm sure we're all like pumping articles every time. So I'll just talk about what money is right now. Simply put, the simplest definition that is not too technical. Money is a commodity accepted by general consent as a medium of economic exchange. So money is basically, that one thing that's when it's there, we can exchange. Like we exchange things for it. It's the means. It is the road. It is the vehicle through which we exchange things one another. Why? Because I mean we are human beings and we can't just do it all on our own. And you see how money came and really really helped things move. Because if you have like a couple of people sitting down and we have to relate, we have to talk, we have to live together, we have to give each other things, we have to collaborate somehow. While I'm sleeping, even the basic thing, what's the most basic thing is food. Somebody has to cook the food, somebody has to gather the food. Either way, just collaboration requires that we exchange words, we exchange, breath, exchange effort, anything, just from one person to the other, it forms a good community. And money is the medium for that. Generally agreed, just general consent. It could, like, Lydia and I could have our own means of exchange. Maybe I pay her in notebooks instead of dollars, although I do not know how our relationship would be if that happened. Something I'd like to explore one day. What you get, but when it's general, when it's within a specific community, within a specific case, and as we become a global community now, you get money now, it has to be general. So that's what money is. And money has three uses. There's a fourth one too that I didn't include here, but I'll still speak about it. It's a medium of exchange. I didn't replace this dummy text here because I said I was going to write about it, but I did this in a rush, so I skipped over this side. So but I'll just explain it. So money is a medium of exchange. That's of course of exchange. We use it to switch things. If I want something from someone, I can give them money and they'll give me that thing. So it's a vehicle. It's also a unit of exchange in the sense that if we want to know the value of an exchange, of the value that was transferred, we use money for that. So money measures value. That's also what a unit of exchange also simply means. And then it's a store of value. So if you want to keep value, you want to keep something that you can use to give out and get something in return. If you want to, let's say, have a stuff. Yeah, I think the value really just explains it. Money is good for storage. That's how we store value, because value is how we get people to do things. Value can be transformed into incentive, transformed into all of those. So money serves that. And then money is also a standard of deferred payment. So that is where you have things like credit and borrowing coming in. So if you want to borrow something from somebody on credit, you measure that credit using money. So you could, pay the person back in money, or you could switch off that credit for something else. When you get into things like financial instruments and all of that, you start seeing this deeply. So yeah, these are the definitions of money and what money does. And then let's move to, how money was. So in the beginning, I like to start like this. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was formed and void, and the Spirit of God moved by the surface of the waters. And he said, let there be light, and there was light, and blah, blah, blah. He made animals, he made human beings. And now we have to live, eat, and, do things. And we're so intelligent that we made life more complex than it used to be. And once before we were, when became very, very communal, because at some point it doesn't take a genius to see that we couldn't survive on our own. There were animals, but if you guys were two, maybe while the animal is attacking somebody, the other person will come and stab the other person. So maybe that is how two humans realized that, they needed each other. Who knows? Nobody knows. Nobody recorded these things, but it's a story. So of course at one point we realized that we are better if we are not alone, and then we started living in communities, and that's where you had people traveling from forest to forest, eating, the whole hunter-gatherer dynamic. And once we became a unit, and we now needed to work as a team, and the problem of exchange now came, because I need something from this guy, but if I take something from this guy, he may not have that thing again, and it just leaves a void inside. And we're like, okay, so the best way to solve this exchange problem would be, if I take something from you, I give you something back. So trade by barter could have started in any way. Maybe someone was cold and someone had an extra skin jacket and he gave the other guy, and then the next day the other guy came and gave him some fruits, and both of them felt good, left that transaction feeling very happy. And who knows, that's how it must have started. And then trade by barter became that means. So around like 6000 BC, that's the earliest time recorded, and the earliest evidence of trade by barter, even though we may have been doing it way before then. That's when you see trade by barter happening. So the goods were exchanged directly, and it's what you had to give the other person and what the other person, that is what you had to give the other person that you give in exchange for what you wanted. So they had to be wants. You had to want something. You had to need something. And the easiest way is just to give somebody something you already have. So they make this example of, if a butcher and a farmer meet, the farmer will give the butcher corn, the butcher will give the farmer beef or meat or anything, just exchanging what they had. And it was fine, it was good, but the barter system came and we had a lot of exchange. We're helping each other, we're multiplying. Yes, population was increasing. And trade by barter did not now seem to be enough, because now you needed to have something that somebody else wanted. And if you wanted something from that person, the person had to want your thing. The person didn't want it, the person asked you for something else. And not everybody was really that Renaissance man, generalist enough to produce everything. If I'm the village butcher, I am not the guy who grows barley. I'm not the guy who makes soap. I'm not the guy who makes drinks. So if nobody wants my meat, that's not economically viable for me. And everyone thought like, well, how do we solve this problem? And then someone was like, you know what if you take something from this guy and then you owe him something, maybe like a favor. Maybe you defer the payment some other time. And trade by credit came, but it wasn't really popular. The evidence for trade by credit hasn't been pointed, but a lot of finance experts, I think I read this in the Bitcoin when I was reading the Bitcoin book once, that credit existed just right after trade by barter, when trade by barter could not, when the hand was too short to reach. So credit came, and you also see this in a lot of old stories where there's, I owe you one. Oh, I'm recalling that favor from them. That also happened with money. And that also really helped commerce a lot. But then credit had its own problems. Because, okay, one, what if I can't pay you back? Maybe I'm not a bad guy. Maybe I, I died before I could pay you back. I mean, just think about that. So there were just a lot of problems that could have happened. And then to solve that, we moved into the next stage of money, which is commodity money. And this happened in ancient Sumeria around 2500 BC, where where people now said, okay, now instead of now doing things that are abstract, let's try to measure this. Let's have a vehicle, let's have a tool that will say, okay, this is what this is what this. And if you remember, in Sumeria was where you now had a lot of documentation. That's where, writing really started. So that's like the earliest documentation of what do they call it? Commodity money and writing. And it was just really fitting because now we had a means to document stuff. It wasn't just vibes anymore. So, let's actually get a tool and we hold that as the standard that we use to exchange this value. And there were so many things that could be used. There was tea, there was barley, and my favorite was salt. Like people would make cakes of salt and they would sell. Our commodity money was doing great. It was doing fine. So if you had like a lot of barley in the village, you were rich, you could exchange for anything. Since barley is the standard, barley could stay, salt never used to spoil, and tea could also stay. But then again, commodity money had its own problems because now you could store large quantities of it, but they were very, very subject to rain. They were bulky. Some of them could spoil. And then what now came was you could not really control the supply because, I mean, if tea is money, it's not hard for me to just go and just grow more tea and really become like the Elon Musk of the village. It's not really that hard. So, of course, commodity money came with its own problems. And then the next invention happened. They're like, let's get something that is scarce. Let's get something that is scarce, something that nobody can just find anywhere. And then we'll find a way to, make it standard, find a way that all of us will agree and consent that this is it. And then that's where you had coinage, call it metal money. In Lydia, that's what is Western Turkey now. That place was really the hub of that Middle East was really a place where things were happening. So the first coins were minted at that time. So, you could have silver coins, gold coins, and all of that because metal was really hard to handle. And then whenever they handle the metal, they will now place like the ruler insignia there because around 2000 BC, we already had like kingdoms and we already had organized into like a very wonderful society. So we had laws and then we could get these coins and make them laws and all of that. And coin money persisted for a long time because it was really amazing. The Romans used it, the Greeks used it, the Renaissance period, they used it up until like, I think the 15th century, there was coinage. Even till the World War One, some people were still selling, some klubeks. That's how some people carry their wealth. You hear of Jew gold in a lot of history. So there was that. And then 700 CE, that's where the first paper money happened, but it was all the way in China. Because China were the first to invent paper, really. So, and okay, I think I missed this part too. But anyway, China printed paper and then they printed, their emperor's insignia on it and they used that for money. So it was just something that was also ready. Still also used a little bit of, metal money. But then there was paper and the paper just served not like the money that we know now, but it was more like a promise. Like, okay, so this is how much you have. And anybody that held that thing with the sign of the emperor, because the Chinese emperor was really powerful, anybody that held that, could spend it anywhere. And that was where paper money came. And paper money would make an appearance in the colonies in like around 1700s when in Canada, when there was a lot of there were not enough gold coins to pay the soldiers. And then the doctor was like, you know what, let me sign my playing cards. And he said, okay, this is your salary. He wrote it on the playing cards. This is your salary. And he gave the soldiers. And these soldiers, they needed to eat, but the gold wasn't here. So they just went to the village like, okay, this is what the governor said, though. I need this. And then they transacted with that called promissory notes. And, that was where, from promissory notes, you have banks and all of that. It's another different aspect of finance. And then when paper money came, and why paper money won over metal money was because it was easier to produce, it was lighter, Yeah, it was lighter to carry. I mean, a box of gold coins is very heavy, but if I carry like a wad of cash, I mean, and it was really good. And we persisted with paper money for a while. Until date, we still use paper money. But then again, of course, it has transformed. You have electronic currency. In 1984, at the clearinghouse, they used a computer to just track transactions. So once we could track those transactions, the way we were documenting things in like Sumeria and then, well, now like this, you have your debit and credit alerts, which I use till today. And then, of course, the big bad cryptocurrency that we are still figuring out, even though, it's kind of ripe and ready to use, but we're still figuring that out. And, you know, I don't know, I think I should let me just talk a bit about cryptocurrency. It uses cryptography and a lot of computer equations to track and make sure that, and give the tokens all the properties of money, can be made scarce. Using a computer, you could give a particular file all the properties that money has and how it should behave. And that's what cryptocurrency is at the scale. It's just a computer program that, solves the kind of, that behaves like money. So now this is the history of money, and it's important you know all of this so that, when you're reading, you understand how some of even the financial instruments are based on some of our old uses of money. So yes, I think I've spoken a lot about this history. So is there anywhere that is not clear? Because I noticed that we're awfully quiet. Okay, then I can move on. So now, how do you relate to the financial system? So I will speak to us as writers. You are a part of the financial system. Now, with the way money is now, the way all of us use money, there is actually a financial system that is composed of intermediaries. It's composed of financial instruments, as I've said. That financial instruments are basically money packaged in a certain. Financial instruments are basically contracts that help us move money from one person to another. So the financial system is made up of like two kinds of people: lenders and borrowers. Lenders are people that have the money. Borrowers are people that need the money. So whenever a bank gives out a loan, the bank is a lender, the person is a borrower. Lenders hold money to give up the money, and what they want is, their reward for that is interest. Borrowers take the money and they do things with the money, and their reward for that is profits or wages. So as a writer, normally you are sort of like a lender and a borrower, in the sense that when you are partaking in the financial system as an investor, you're a lender, but of course you need cash. So first you have to sort of like lend something. So what you lend is basically your time, and then you get money. So, and then when you get that money, you cannot really partake as a proper lender where you do your investments and all of that. As a borrower, when you borrow to maybe buy a new laptop, or to set up your writing business, now you're a borrower in that. And knowing all of this would, show you the kind of instruments that you should partake in, the ones that are good for you, and which one is healthy, all of that. So let's spiral on. Now, who is the writer? And writer and their money. So I define the writer as the first portal through which the abstracts become real. Writers were really very, very instrumental to the invention of money. Just the act of just writing 10 naira, 15 naira, 14 naira every day, it's very, very minor. But the writers of them did that and kept these records for us to see. As writers, and because of them, we can now travel back to the past and see what transactions were like. So, as a writer, you're like a time machine, because you're basically trapping time with documentation. And if it's not written, it didn't exist. So many, knowledges are lost and everything. As a writer, you are very, very important, and you deserve money. And you deserve to manage this money properly. And you deserve to have money work for you. And you deserve every good thing money has. So why does a writer need money? Because why do we need this money? There are different reasons why human beings, when the business person needs money to invest in their business, why does a writer need money? Writer needs money to eat and live longer. Yeah, I mean, your brain uses 70% of your work, and we're always thinking, we're always forming words. You need money to relax and enjoy. You can't work every time. And yes, while you can sit down as an introvert and read a good book, some days you might need that shawarma. Some days you want to go to Fiji. I mean, Fiji Islands are nice. You want to go to Seychelles. You need that. To buy time. Time is never going to be enough, my people. So wherever you can cut time, you can. And the best way to, cut time is to have somebody do something else you'd rather be doing. So maybe you want to cook, but you can't cook, so you just go and buy food. So now instead of 1.5 hour you use to fry rice, you've saved about you've saved 80 minutes. Like you're just using 10 minutes to buy food. So yeah, you've bought time, you have 80 minutes to apply to that article, do your research. Then you need money to upgrade your tools. I mean, you're a writer, you are not a computer builder, so at some point you have to pay someone to upgrade those tools. Then to gain knowledge, um, while we can gain knowledge through observation, we can look at things. You need to buy books. You need to pay a bunch of people to teach you stuff that they know or that they discovered. So these are important to your skill as a writer. And then to interact with society. You need to travel. You need to get inspired. So these are just like 6 uses that as a writer specifically you must do this. There are like several others, but then these are it. So why do you plan your money? Money is scarce. I mean, it's one of the quality. If money wasn't scarce, we will not have any of it because a lot of people will hoard the money. Greed is really, really, really something we've come to accept as human. So if there is money and it is if money wasn't scarce, if it wasn't really hard to get, trust me, a lot of people will just no, I think I'm explaining inflation now. Money is scarce because there's far less people available than those that need money for it. That's it. So if you give everybody money, all our wants will not still be met because core rule of inflation, human beings have unlimited wants and resources are scarce, and money is a resource, and like every resource, it is scarce. Not because it's not enough, but because we want too much. That's just the thing, and that is why something like inflation was inbuilt, so that people will not hoard money, and that is why money loses value. Our economic system allows inflation to continue to keep money liquid and flowing. Okay, so if money continues to keep its value year in after year, I will just keeping more of it. And if all of us are keeping money, who is spending money? And we really need to spend money to get stuff. We really need to spend money so that some other people will see money. You understand? In the financial system today, there are some people that have to wake up every morning and it is what they get that day that they will spend. So economics always tries to increase the amount of spending that is going on. Just try to increase it. And then they are like, okay, you know what? Inside the economic system, money is losing value. And I've still not gotten to the real mechanics of how that works, but it really, really, really helps because if I was going to keep like 1 million, and that 1 million is going to be 1 million next, what do they call it? 1 million in the next, it's going to still remain the value of 1 million in the next 30 years. I'm not going to spend it. I'm not going to keep it for my kids and maybe just be spending like 10 naira to eat food every day. I'm rich, But now, if I know that that's 1M with the inflation rate that is maybe like 20%, it's probably going to become like 850 the next year. I want to put my money to work. I want to put it where it will be losing value. So money is put into the system because of that. And then you have to control your money. If you can't track the money you have, if you don't, track it, you can't control it. Because there are so many bills. You need to know what you are spending. You need to know at least at what time of the month are your bills really spiking. Analyze those financial statements so that you have better control. You know whether, okay, this need, maybe there's this certain thing that happens at the month that, if you know that it's happening, you don't have to spend, or maybe you can just stop it from happening. Maybe your detergent always finishes at the 3rd week. And by then, that money you've kept to buy data. Oh my God, you have to buy detergent now because you need to wash your clothes. When you track your money and you see that, around this time, I'm always spending money for detergent, it helps. And then to gain self-understanding, because how you manage resources says a lot about you. And we'll get into that because there's really a lot of psychology that comes when we spend money. Even across different cultures, they have several attitudes to money. The way the Greeks saw money is different from the way we see money today. Even Russians and Americans have different ways of money. It's one of the things that, has caused Cold War, but, more on that later at some other time. So at least these are the 4 reasons why you should plan your money. So there's no reason not to. Now, how do you now achieve your money goals and everything? Okay, I think this slide is before, so I'll just jump to the next one. So now when it comes to planning your money, how do you start planning your money and what do you do? So to plan your money, there are like just 2 things I like to consider. First, understand your goals with money because yeah, there are so many things you want to do with money. There's long-term goals, there's short-term goals, but you really, really, really have to know. Okay, so what's that specific goal first for this money? Do you want to use your money to maybe part time? What's your short-term goal for it? Is this money here to maybe upgrade you? Do you just want to use it to get a house? Do you want to use money to make more money? Why are you even gathering this money in the first place? Is it because you want to solve some sort of deep-seated insecurity? Because there are people like that just want to have a lot of money and just keep looking at it. So you need to understand that deeply. It takes a lot of, things to get there, but it's something that will really help. And forming goals should be the first step, like before you do anything, so that you can be as optimistic as you can. Because by the time you think of money too much, you might just be too sad that, oh, I can't do anything with this. But trust me, no matter how small money is, it can always do something. It's value that can be grown, even if it has to be sown first. Then, next thing you do is understand your relationship with money. So, several of us, you started out as a kid. Somebody was always paying your bills, and so it depending on how the supply was, where it came, they may be crafted to look at money a certain way. I'm someone who has always had money, always treat money differently. Always see it as, oh, okay, I can always spend this, and probably even know how to spend it better than somebody who has not always had money. That person may always want to just hoard the money and not do much with this. Even personally, I used to have that problem where I'll just have money and I don't know what to do with it. I would just say, oh my God, I just have it. Oh wow, I have 500K now. Oh my God, I can enter anywhere. Thank God, all of that. So there's all of that. So understand your relationship with money and some of the questions you should ask. My favorite questions I asked myself was, when I receive a credit at last, how do I feel? Do I feel so happy that I want to eat food? Okay, Shammah, does that make you do anyhow with the money? All of that. What are also the changes in your behavior? Are you more confident or not? So if you're more confident, do you now make terrible decisions? Uh, what is your history? How has money affected you in your life? Was there enough of it? What have you learned about money? So, now you started earning. How has your experience taught you? So when you do all of this, you get a more balanced understanding of how you relate with money. And from there, you know how to hit your money goals. So now achieving your money goals and everything. So as a writer, I think by studying how you get money would also help. So I'll start by these are the four horsemen of achieving your money goals and things that you can do with money as a person, because you don't have a lot of control over the financial system. I mean, the inflation is spiraling. Whether you stop spending or not, you may not do anything because you're part of a very big system that you may or not understand. But for the money you have, the money you get, there are things that, these are the steps that you can do. These are the steps that you can do with money. So, of course, first you earn money. So you have to earn money to spend money. And I would advise you to never stop increasing your capacity to earn. You can always do that. And you don't always have to, maybe work or do anything. You could do other things to increase your capacity to earn even without working. More on that later. So, of course, you have to earn. And as writers, you have to understand how you earn money. Are you the salary type? Does the money come at this particular time? And then from there, for the next 3 months, now like this, you have to, do that. You have to create a strategy for that. Does it come out of contrast for those of us freelancers? Maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, which I think we should pay attention to how our money comes. Because sometimes if I just get a lot of money, you know that maybe it's because something is happening. Like personal experience, I think around July, August, September, I get a lot of freelance jobs. Why? Because a lot of people are planning to japa at that time, and school is resuming. So a lot of people just have a lot of writing they can't do, and they're just pushing it to my side. And I'm like, oh wow, oh. So I studied that in 2020 it happened, and then 2021 August I was like, what's happening? So I downloaded my financial statement and I saw that, and this year it's still happening. I'm like, oh okay, that's good. I can put that as a rule. So when this time comes now like this, there are some things I would like to do or some things I would not like to do. So there's that. So now after you earn, now you have this money in your hand and what you want to do with it. The first thing I always advise is for you to save. I think out of all the financial books I've read, the one that still stands out to me is What the Richest Man in Babylon. I've never liked the book because I used to think then that books that were always like around didn't have much to say. It was just popular knowledge or value. But one thing I picked up from the book that has helped me, like I think for the past 2 years, it says whenever you earn anything, just pay 10% first. Put 10% in your savings, and that has really helped. I because at some point I just put the 10%. I don't think of it. I always automate that, and that has really taught me the value of saving. That yes, maybe it may not be enough, but there are some times that uh, I just want to buy something and maybe it's not enough. Maybe the money I have is not enough because I didn't know how much the cost was. I could just really dip into my savings and just clear one kind sharp, like 20K or 10K, and just add and I buy that thing. And that thing then gives me more value than if I had waited to buy it because I don't know what would have happened. For instance, my table, if I had bought it maybe like if I was buying it today now, I would not be able to sit comfortably now and talk to you guys. I was only able to do that because I had savings for that I was just keeping from the 10% that I just removed. So it helps, and it always helps to live below what you earn, so that you don't fall into debt because emergencies happen. I mean, it's life. It's life. Anything could happen. So imbibe the culture of saving even before you start budgeting or before you start spending. And I recommend 10%. No matter what you earn, no matter how small it is, 10% is really, really, really nice. And you find 10% presenting in several other like financial groups that people have created and written about. And then after you have saved, you have removed that 10% and you have that 90%. That 90% becomes 100 in your eyes. And then you budget it because before you spend, you have to budget. Everyone budgets. Nigeria has a lot of money, but we still budget and we always cry about the budget because budget will help you control your spending. That's just simply what it is. It gives you a direction. Okay, this is where the money is going to. And of course, the rules of budgeting presents where you look at what areas of your life, what you need to get. Oh, of course, you definitely need food, definitely need to pay the rent, definitely need to plan all of this. So it just helps you understand how much you can achieve. You just see your future. And I cannot really overestimate the importance of budgeting. And there are often tricks and techniques we use in budgeting because sometimes you could budget and budget yourself and not achieve anything because you didn't really do all of that self-study and all of that. And then after you have decided how to spend, I think you should invest as early as you can. Now, a lot of people wait to have a lot of money to invest, but you have to start from however how much you have. When you invest, your money works for you. You can't work all the time. At some point, probably you're going to get older. Everybody's going to start, not going to be as fast as it is. You're not Cristiano Ronaldo, obviously. So you need your money to work for you, and that's the best way. The financial system is built to give you loads of opportunities for your money to work, and the earlier you start, the best. And I think the lowest you can invest, from my financial experts at the office, they say if you want to invest and frequently, just do 5% of what you have. You can do higher, but 5% is like really good. If you do that over time and you invest and the money starts to work, it starts to multiply, you gain interest on it. So that's what happens when you invest. Gain like I think a decent plan is like 10% a year. And why? So your money doesn't really lose value because let's say inflation is like 2%, so your money loses 2% of its value. But when it gains 10% the next year, so that means you gain like 8% on your money. So you can see how it is. For Nigeria, our inflation is currently 19%. So that's another whole conversation. But then when you invest, you need to be conscious of all of these too, conscious of the kind of currency, look at all of those. It's technical, but nobody reading about investment is never going to teach you as much as when you start investing. So that's it. The experience is worth more. And starting really small helps you cut your losses and you still get the same knowledge and value that you get than if you started with like, I don't know, 100 million or something. So that's it. So that's it. That's how you achieve your money goals. And then now let's move into the spending aspect because all of those are passive. I mean, I earn once, I save once, and it's done. I invest. I'm not thinking about it. But the budgeting is now the really active part where your brain is working. And one of the best ways to manage, your budget or your earnings now is you split it into percentages. It's just simpler. It's round figures and all of that. Now, there's a lot of ratios. There's a 50-30-20 rule where it says, you do 50 for your needs, 30 for your wants, 10 for your and 20 for your savings. Um, I've forgotten the author. She wrote that book in 2006, and it was a hit. It really helped and managed a lot. And it's also something that was cloned here, except that for me, I prefer the 70-10-10-10 rule, that 70-30 rule. Because I think I heard this from a friend of mine that's why I respect it so much. She writes I think a LinkedIn newsletter about money, and I picked that up. And I actually tried it, and it really worked. And at that time, I think personal story, I think I was earning I was earning like 100K a month. And then whenever it came, I would just put like 10K inside my savings. I'll put 10K in my emergency funds. And then investments, that was really hard. I used to put in like 5K because please, it was Nigeria. And the remaining 70, I'll split it. I'll use like, 40 for food. And then, 30 for maybe things I wanted, like maybe new earpiece, new clothes, things I really did not need I could do without. So I did that. And I really saw a lot. I really saw things grow because, when the inflation started skyrocketing and things started growing, uh, you know, I had emergency funds. So I think that was the first one to go. I'll just take my emergency funds. I'll just spend it. I was always happy to put my emergency funds because I knew that it was just basically extra money I was going to spend. So I didn't play with that one. And then I think I did that for like 2 or 3 months. I did that for 3 months before, things started increasing. And then by the time my money would finish, and my money finished in the middle of the month, and I still had like 28K left. And I just carried that one and I just felt all right for the rest of the month. And then, when the next time came, I just became wiser and, cut down my standard of living and did all of that. So 70-30 rule is good. It helps you. It's more sustainable and it's really more sustainable and you don't really feel like you're giving a lot out because, it's just 10-10-10. It's just like easier. There's also the 80-20 rule that says, you spend 80 and then the remaining 20, you split it between savings and investments. But then that doesn't really talk about emergency funds, which I think would start needing due to the rise in prices and the imminent inflation that may be coming soon. And a lot of things are really happening. So that helps. So 70-30 rule is nice. Now, there are just a few tips for, managing your money and spending it well. First thing I do is I just save as soon as I get a credit alert. So, of course, I do the 10% thing, unfailingly. So, whenever I get even like 2K or anything, I just send me urgent 2K, or I just carry 200 and put inside. Yeah, I had to cultivate that habit. It's a little bit hard, but 10% is actually like your brain doesn't really mind it. I realize after a while, your brain doesn't really mind it. If you pay tithes, you know how that works. If you calculate like probably all the time that you've paid all through the year, you see that if you're just keeping that and you're not touching it, you actually have like a buttload of money. Yes. So automate your payments if possible so that you can overcome that inertia. Let the computer do it for you. If it stresses you to just pay that money, just automate it. I have some of my big funds, I have them automated. So as it's coming, I don't want to know, I just want to just see how much I have in my account so that I can survive for the day and go out forage. Then next thing, buy for value rather than for price. I mean, trust me, as a writer, you're not always going to be broke. Yeah, there's a lot of writing needed to be done. As human beings, we have finished all the content in the world. All the ones our forefathers wrote for us. We've read everything. We've finished the Dead Sea Scrolls. We have interpreted Sumerian texts. So, of course, as a writer, you are creating content. Somebody's definitely going to give you money for that. By just existing in not enough writers, I mean, I've gotten money. So, but drip is forever and buy quality because that will help you save money in the long run. If you buy a laptop that spoils in like 2 months or maybe like 2 years, where you could have just, spent a little bit of extra to buy one that would have lasted for 5 years, you'll have saved enough because, laptops used to be like, I think when I bought my first laptop was 110K, you get, and I used it for 7 years. And by the time when it was 7 years later, that same laptop was like 280. So should I have, and even like after like 2 years because of inflation and how our naira had been crashing, it wasn't still 110. 110 was this. Compared to now, it's a steal. So imagine that I had one that now spoiled in like 3 years. That means another one, maybe I bought that one like 70. Now I've spent that 70, and maybe if I wanted to now maybe still buy another cheap one, that one that was 70K will now be like 90K. At the end of the day, I have like 160 has left me. That's 160 has left, which is 50K more. And trust me, that could have come in handy somewhere. You get? So buy quality. Quality lasts forever. Look, if you remember your mother's pots that still stays, all of that is really good. It saves you in the long run. Continue to upgrade yourself and your tools. And extra is an investment. Don't just invest money in people's businesses. Invest in yourself. Make yourself more valuable. Give yourself, increase the amount of ROI you can turn over for your clients and all of that. It's really important because when you feel good, trust me, when you feel good, you spend less money. Yeah, because you are not really trying to compensate for anything. A lot of people do depressed eating. A lot of people have to now probably like go to therapy to feel good. So a lot of people fall sick, and that. So it's important that you improve yourself, improve your mind. Anyway, go for a massage, eat well, rest, exercise. Trust me, if you are performing at tip-top shape like this, when malaria season or flu season is here, you are less likely to, fall ill and you have to go and get drugs or something. Then another thing you could do, actively seek investment opportunities, another ways to grow your money. So somebody is like selling some sort of investment, read about it, do your do your research. Financial tip: any investment that promises you maybe more than like 15% a year, yeah, you should put a lot of salt and pepper on that. Like, if my advice is to not go, because yearly that's probably like the best. If we say 10, but we do 15, so if we do 16, then the extra 1% is us, but is for us. You get? So you find a lot of savings apps these days. They tell you between 8 to 12%. The highest I have seen is 14 personally, and I've actually gotten that 14. With my company, like I said, during Berger, we do a lot of investing. So we have a plan that actually gives 14. But they tell us 12, but then we now see 14 and we're like, yay! You guys give us extra money. You guys are performing well. Undersell and all of that. Oh, I'm telling you guys my secret. That's fine. So please invest. And I advise you to start early. It's never too early to invest. And it's not just for you if you have kids. Please. Because when you invest now, that money is going to compound in interest. And I think it takes there's a calculation for how you can know how much it takes your money to double when it's in compound interest. I can share that article. I think I wrote something about that at one time. So, compound interest works. And if you invest now, the value of that money in the next 5 years is going to be more than it. Even if inflation has eaten from it, you still preserve that wealth you get. Then get as much information as you can about money. You are here listening to me talk about money. At least, hopefully I've said one or two things. Talk to people about money. Have a lot of people are scared to not talk about money, because in our capitalist society, not having money is a crime. I mean, hype men in the clubs just make a lot of people feel bad. Like, I think I heard this line yesterday that anybody will not get money, na illegal building, make gonna move on. It's funny and it's fun. It's funny, but really, you should not carry that mentality. Just, if you don't talk about money, if you don't really ask people, okay, how do they manage money? Don't try to find out strategies that they use. You may never learn anything new. You may be doing one same old thing that may not be working for who you are and your personality. That's why we often tell people as investors that, come, before you even invest, we first advise you and talk to you like, oh, okay, so this is it, oh, this is money, this is how things are. Feel free, if you don't want to talk to your friends, get a finance expert and just ask them for like 30 minutes of their time. It's the internet. A lot of people are willing to talk now. You can't, at least for those of us that do cold calls, we know how it is now. And you can send 100 and maybe like 2 will respond. And out of that 2 self, you even forget about the other 98. So there's that. Talk to people, please. I'm always available to talk about some of the things I've learned, because I read a lot of articles for the blog I write and all of that. And also, a key thing is, don't be greedy. And this is something that has really affected me personally, because because there's something now that is happening in Nigeria. We have a very large arbitrage. Arbitrage trading is basically when you buy something at one market and it's this cost, and then you go to another market where you can sell it for more expensive. So I buy something here 50 naira, and my neighbor's side they're selling it $60. So I buy it 50 and I go to his side and I sell it for 60. I have leveraged the arbitrage on that, and I've gotten 10 naira just by just carrying the thing to my parents' house, to my neighbor's house. And currently with our naira, that's what is happening because I think the standard rates, I had not looked at yesterday's figures, but I think it was 430 something. And one on the black market is like 660 something. So if you just carry like $1,000, you buy it from the bank, maybe PTA, BTA, you get like 430K. You buy it 430. You buy 430K and you buy dollars, and it's 1,000. By just taking it to a different market, to the black market, just go to Muse Zone 4 in Abuja, and you just get 360K for doing nothing. That's 230,000 extra. That's arbitrage. And that's just easy money. And then at times you could just get greedy. And what now happened recently was, when the Naira fell to like 710. Now, a lot of people thought that the Naira would keep falling. So they took their money and they to go and buy the dollar at 710. They bought it at market, they bought the top. And then like 3 days later, it just came down to 680 something. And, there was nobody that was going to buy it at 700, at more than 710 or something. And they lost 40K. Now you see that greed causes you to do that. You just want to just go all in and take advantage of that. Look around first. Greed can blind you. I remember when I was investing in cryptocurrency, I lost a lot because whenever we had a bull run, I was like, I've made so much money. And I'm like, this bull run will continue. Just pull out now. No, I'm like, no, this thing can still give me like extra, 10%, And, it will now climb up to like 3%. And then it will now fall back. And, I'll lose my startup funds sometimes because I let it sit too much. So don't be greedy. And maybe because, you've saved a lot of money and then you now oversave and not eat. No. Save moderation. Greed is an absence of moderation. So please just practice moderation in all you do. Save as much as you can. Prioritize you. But know that you're not saving because you want to have money to give somebody. You're saving to keep yourself healthy. So if at some point your savings is all you can eat and things are bad, that's why the savings are there. They're there to help you in those hard times. It's probably maybe investments that you don't liquidate because, they are supposed to be for the future. And that is why, of course, savings are very important. So, these are just like a few tips. There are more that we could talk about later. Should you have a conversation with anyone or should you read? Now, I'm just reviewing what we've learned. I'm sorry I've not stopped for questions, but I hope that we've been following, and I talk a little bit too fast. So let's move to so just reviewing what we've learned. I think we've learned what money is, a medium of exchange. We've learned the history of money and how it has moved. What you should do with money. Remember, you are important. You are the one doing things with money. You are exchanging the money for value to yourself. And the better value you get, the better long-lasting value you get, it protects your money. Because the value of money now is not going to be the value of money tomorrow. So get as much as you can now. Live in the now. Don't just think about, I want to do that. No, get your value now. Money is not made to be kept, really. It's really made to be spent. We created money because we wanted things from people that we couldn't get ourselves. So look around you, take that money and say, okay, what can this money get me now that will make things easier, that will make me be able to get money? Think of value, think of, what you're getting, and, exchange the money for that. That's probably the wisest way to spend money, exchange it for good value. Because if you don't do that, it's going to lose its value. So, of course, and I've given you the 70-30 rule. I could send this slide. I'll just correct a bunch of things and send it over so, you could just remember some of the things I've said. And, I've given you some tips to manage money. And I think my final note would be 10% out of everything you earn, pay it somewhere that you can control. It is really important. And once you have maybe it has helped me a lot because, I lived at the time I didn't really have a lot of money. What really, really helped my own personal mental health then was that, after I kept those 10%, they accumulated to one point where I wasn't really troubled. I wasn't really afraid of emergencies again. I could take more risks. Maybe I could be I can do this. If anything happens, at least I have emergency funds or savings to fall back on. And those risks really paid off at the end. And I could only do that because why? I just started the whole 10% thing. So yeah, I think that would be my final advice for all of us. And wealthy writers should not be really hard to find. Wealth is not really about, having a lot of money and all of that. I mean, although that's just a simple definition of it. But wealth is about being able to exchange for the value that you really need. If you always have money to buy value, if you always have money to get what you want at the time that you need it, and there are no lapses, and the wealth is not draining, you can also create more money. That is, a much more universal definition of wealth. So you probably don't need to have like a lot of this thing. But once you have things, you have fallback plans. Anytime life hits you, you can shake it off and you still be okay. Food, rent, the kids, everything continues as normal. You have, you are, you are wealthy. So gather your wealth, build your wealth through investing, uh, found your wealth through saving, and protect all your investments and everything through emergency funds. So, and I think this is it. So, questions and answers. If there's anything that you wrote down, I am available to answer. And let's have a discussion. So, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Shah. This was very insightful. I think that's the word. I'm not very big on money and finance, so this was very, helpful and eye-opening. Do we have any questions so far? We can ask here, we can ask on the group, and we can also DM Shammah. But I'll just pause for a few minutes in case we have questions.
Hello, good evening. Sorry, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, but
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can.
Okay. Shammah, thank you very, very much. I think I'll definitely be sending you a personal DM later. But the question I have is, we are talking about investments. So, what are your go-to metrics for that is evaluating an investment before you go into it? Do you have some metrics specifically that you look at? Then also, we are talking about inflation. I think you mentioned that if you are keeping like 10, maybe 10%, and then even if inflation comes, it will not eat into it, something of that sort. I don't know whether you could maybe touch on that again. I didn't really get the hang of it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Akachiko, for asking the question. I really appreciate it. Okay, I will start from the first one, investments. So, personally, first I look at the ROI because I need to get money, please. So I look at how many percent like the investment turns out, and like I said, if they tell me 15% per year, and then I'm first safe, and then afterwards you look at the company, look at the history, look at the people that are handling that money. It's look at the people and handling that money. Yes, there's gut feeling because marketing can do a lot, but these are the things I look out for: the people, the company, how long they have, what's their financial history, independently, and then the ROI. Those are the things I look out for investments. And then this one is a little bit more technical. The financial instruments they are investing in. I think in the news I read about 3 weeks ago about about two agrotechs that were not able to pay their people. You understand? And I wasn't surprised. Why? Because agrotech is sort of new. Investing in food is actually really kind of new. And Nigeria doesn't really have control over our food markets. Like, we make a lot of food, but our food is going so many places that we don't even know. We can't really track it and everything. So I think that one is really important. It's a little bit technical because it could just tell you a lot of things like, oh, we're investing in stocks and this thing. No, please ask. Let them know and everything. And then once you know the asset, you can see how that asset has behaved historically. And if and the range should not be more than, I don't advise it more than plus or minus 3. So that's why you see there's a 12%. 12 plus 3 is 15. 12 minus 3 is 9. So mutual funds usually perform at like 9% and all of that per year. So, and if I think some of the good mutual funds out there, I think my company actually does a good mutual fund in Beja Money Market Fund, Stanbic. I used to invest in Stanbic before. But those and mutual funds is good to start because you just drop 5K and then you can see all of that. So those are the things I look at. I hope you've taken it because I think I just mentioned them off the top of my head. But generally, once I see those signals, I'm good. I look at numbers a lot because money is actually just numbers and everything. Then for the second one, inflation. Now, saving is also like really tricky. Okay, when you want to, I think it's also something I think is very important I mention. When money loses value every year, inflation, as you can see, our 100 naira now is can no longer buy what is 100 naira. And when you are saving for a long time, you are just saving that money and that money is losing value. Of course, you may be spending it and all of that, but it's losing value. So one of the things that we actually now do now is they are now like, how would I put it, investments that they just provide enough for you to keep the value of your money. You understand? So that's the thing behind pensions. With pensions, you are giving your employer money, and the value of what you've given them, they have, is they'll give you after like possibly like 35 years. So they have to keep that money at least constant. So they have to save it in something. They have to actually invest your money in pensions, really. So you have to invest it in things that have more long-term value. So they mostly invest it in government bonds because know-how, the government must pay his loans, even if he has to borrow from somewhere. If not, they will have to sell their assets to pay those loans. International bodies don't joke with their value of money. So when you are saving, you should actually look for things, save in places that you could preserve your money. So PiggyVest does a nice job of managing savings. I personally save with like RiseVest because we turn over 8% every year, and worst comes to worst, like this inflation I used to be 11%. At that time I was like, I just lost 3% now, but I still have my money. And also RiseVest actually saved in dollars, so the value compared to the Nigerian value was not, I didn't lose that much despite that. So when you are saving, please try to get at least save in an account that will give you 8% yearly. Most bank accounts give 2%. The highest I've seen is 4%. So you may want to do that, but just so that year in, year out, you may lose some value. But it's okay to at least have money that's lots of value rather than not have money at all. So, but for now, as a Nigerian, I advise you, if you want to really do the whole 10% thing, or you want to save anything, please just do it in dollars. And when our currency stabilizes and we know what we are doing, then you could do that. Then you could bring it back to Naira and do something. Foreign currency, keep it stable and always switch up. So, yeah. I don't know if I answer your question.
Yes, yes, you have. Thank you very much. Though I have one last question.
Okay.
Yes. We mentioned about mutual funds.
Oh,
Which which agency or do you invest with? Because I know you mentioned Stanbic IBTC.
yeah.
So which one do you think is the best currently?
If the Security Exchange Commission catches me doing this, they could find me. That's just a joke. So according to the last, I think the last one that they published, the last mutual funds that they published for, I've not seen the one for August because I've not seen the one for August. I didn't publish it in my company this time. But the last one, it was Stanbic that led. I think, yeah, Stanbic that led and everything. So that's why I told you. I think before I joined Norimberga, the financial group I work with now, I used to invest in Stanbic. So Stanbic is good. However, I've been looking at Norimberga's numbers and they do pretty decently. I've seen some insight. I actually still have something in their mutual funds because I was just testing to see how it was, and I've been seeing a constant. I think for the past 4 months, it has been just 9, nine point something, 8.7, 8.5, so it's kind of like decent. So and they have always been top two or highest top five. They've never left the top five. So Stanbic and Norimberga, they never left the top five. There's also ICO, insurance, their own mutual funds too do a lot. So I think these three are the three names off the top of my head as I'll put. And of course, Stanbic has done theirs for like 5 years. So, they are really, really dependable. So there's that. Norimberga is a new company that has a lot of potential. So if you are looking for something more long term, they are going there, and they are really like they really have a plan for that. We just hope that Nigeria doesn't press their neck and all of that. So yeah, I hope I have answered your question.
Yes, yes, thank you very much. I think I'll send you DM later.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Thank you, Akachku, for the question. Thank you, Shammah. I don't think there's any other question. Okay. So thanks, guys, for coming and staying and learning and, well, listening. And Shammah, thank you for sharing. Even though Sirita was not here, thank you for, handling it and handling it well. As we said, you can ask more questions on the group or in Shammah's DM. We'll share like snippets later this week, and even this one and the last session as well together. Thanks again. Good night, guys.
Good night, everyone. Thank you very much. Yeah,
All right. Good night, guys.
yeah. Good night. Good night, everyone.